This is the Cooking Today Show. I'm Allan Gilbreth, and I'm here today with my partner in culinary crime, Brandon Olmsted.
How are we doing today, Allan?
Today, we decided we're going to start with a theme.
We decided to start with the theme. I don't know if this is so much a theme as it is a let us make sure that everyone in the studio knows this is the best show.
Well, we discussed this last week.
Right.
And we decided that this week was going to be a super simple staple.
But also one of the strongest comfort foods you can make, especially here in the South.
Oh, yes. And we are talking about the infamous chicken and dumplings.
Which Allan has already teased all of our people in the back. Our engineer, our producers, everybody has now been treated, I guess is the right word. And everybody wants to take a nap. I'm sorry, guys. I'd be so much more higher energy if it wasn't for the fact that he's already, fed me a bowl of this. Oh, my God.
Well, let's talk about, with today, when you go to the kitchen, let's face it, very few people have a lot of time.
True.
Now, we've been under a pandemic now for a year.
Right.
Literally, February last year is kind of when the news started breaking. March is when it all went crazy. And we've all been home a lot, or you've been quarantined for a couple of weeks.
And everybody out there has made the worst sourdough bread they've ever tasted. I'm sorry, guys.
I still haven't figured out why that was a thing that caught on, but okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's because it took time.
I guess.
It was a great way, you'd be really busy for an hour today, and then you had to wait until tomorrow to see what you got.
Right.
And, oddly, sauerkraut didn't catch on quite as big.
No, but that's not a smell you want in your house for too long at a time. Especially, and it's also a smell that may linger later on depending on how many people are in your house.
Yeah, you don't want to be trapped in the house for 2 weeks with that cooking.
No, you'll be like, pandemic, take me away.
So, all right, so the idea was, let's pick on something everybody's had.
And if you haven't, it's a crime against humanity.
Yes. And once again, being such a simple dish, there's got to be 1,000 different variations of it. And
everybody who, no matter which variation you use, everybody in their own home does it just a little bit different. There's that one ingredient that most people have that they throw it in, and then of course I followed your recipe. It's like, well, there's one thing we don't tell you, and Allan's is magic. I am pretty sure that wherever you got these chickens, there was a voodoo priestess involved. There was a special, moonlight hatching.
There are certain issues that come with having a proper warlock running your cooking.
Well,
we make it work.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, cooking is not necessarily magic, and for most people, cooking begins in the pantry or at the grocery store.
Right.
So let's take the absolute simplest version of chicken and dumplings.
Okay.
You're going to go to the store and you're going to pick up cream of chicken soup.
Yes. And personally,
our producer's head just spun.
Never done that before.
You got to keep an eye out, though, guys, because especially if you go to one of the big box stores, nobody keeps the shelves, very well in order. So you want to make sure you get the chicken, cream of chicken, the cream of celery, the cream of potato, the cream of mushroom. Just doesn't have the right kick. For chicken and dumplings.
No, we're looking for I'm talking about just the simplest, easiest way to get to this.
Right.
So whatever brand of cream of chicken soup.
Yeah. I personally recommend the generic. It typically has less sodium.
It does. Well, let's just be honest. The quickest, easiest, fastest dumpling on the planet are those little cans of pre-made biscuits.
It's true.
They really are.
I think giving away the secrets of this, I do believe that you're injuring someone's faith in you.
Well,
sometimes the simplest solutions are the best,
Well, I'm talking about, let's be honest. The
as
average,
nice as it is to make from scratch dumplings, ain't everybody always got time for that.
Well, and sometimes you don't have room. sometimes you just don't have the ingredients. And sometimes, as I love to say it, you got hangry people at home. You know, it is Friday. You've had a long week. You just got home. You got hungry eyes staring at you. And I'm leaving this completely gender neutral because, you know, quite frankly, the kitchen's mine.
Right.
You know, I'm gonna be the male that goes, oh no, the kitchen be mine. And
See, that's the same balancing act at my house. I cook, Amy bakes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's
and you two are a dangerous combo.
We are, because when we get it together on something, we could kill an army because we make that much food.
I've attended one or two of these. That's why you're sitting here.
Yes.
So, all right. So again, back to being super, super simple. So let's say you've got, I don't know, what, 4 people? Let's say 5 people to feed.
It's a good average family.
Honestly, 2 cans of cream of chicken soup and a can of biscuits and a nice big pot.
Yes.
And believe it or not, it's going to expand because, like you said, the cream of chicken, the cream of anything soup you get in a can is very, very concentrated, very condensed.
Right.
Very unappetizing.
So,
And when it comes out of the can, please do not judge the food by its appearance now. Because it is really, you know, don't let the kids see you get out of the can because they're not going to eat it after that.
I don't want the dog's food.
Yeah, I'm looking at Claire and she's like, she's reliving her childhood right now. She's just, all right. Then here's the big thing. All right, now we're going to add, and whatever size can it came in needs that size can. And because we're going to make dumplings, I'm going to tell you to use water.
Right. Normally, when you're doing a cream soup, you want to use milk just to keep the consistency right. But seeing as how these dumplings, especially using the biscuit dough, is going to expand,
yes,
you want the water.
I want the water. So if I've got 2 cans, I need 2.5 cans of water.
Right.
Because remember, we're going to lose some.
Oh, yeah.
Biscuits are going to puff up.
A lot.
Yes. So here we go. And here's the, you know, and don't. And I got to look at this and say, please remember, high is not a setting on the stove we want to use. We do not want to, we're not making a child experiment of a volcano. What we need is a nice medium heat, and you need a nice spoon or spatula to stir to get your cream of broken up so that it begins to look more like a soup. Now, what came out of the can is going to be amazingly insufficient. If you have, I'm going to throw in a couple of chicken breast or a couple of chicken thighs, debone them, chop them up into nice little cubes, and just chuck them in the soup.
And I'm going to tell you, it's like one of your thoughts is going to be like, well, I don't want to debone things. It might be, it'll be easier if I get something that's boneless. Whatever you do, don't get it where it's completely skinless, though, because you want to keep a little bit of that fat on the meat.
Yeah, that's where the flavor's at.
You know, if you get something going, well, these are great. A lot of times you go for boneless, you get skinless, and they're trimmed, so you lose the fat, and then you end up with dry, rubbery pieces in your soup.
Yeah. I'd like to, no, I'm going to have to agree with you on that one.
Dry rubber is not an ingredient you want in any of your soups, by the way.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. So you're going to add a little extra meat. If you're more along the vegetarian bend, you can always substitute mushroom.
Right.
If you use mushrooms from the can, you don't have to cook it as long. And everybody kind of goes, yeah, but they're kind of rubbery and they come out of the can like that. But we're talking about getting there quickly.
Right.
Now, the other thing is spicing. What flavors does your family like? If you guys are, if your family's a little spicier, a couple of shots of hot sauce in this bad boy is not going to hurt anybody's feelings.
A little bit of powdered cayenne.
A pinch. Just enough to up the flavor.
Enough, right.
I'm a huge fan of just honestly the cheap Cajun flavor mix, which is cayenne pepper, paprika, and salt. And
I'm
garlic.
a Cavender's guy. Mm-hmm. Cavender's can boost the flavor on anything.
Yeah. So a little paprika doesn't hurt.
And it gives it a little bit of a color because, let's just be honest, when you're looking at chicken and dumplings, once again, we talked about
It's
not
kind
judging
of,
the look.
It's kind of one color at this
Right.
point. you know.
I will admit that paprika has rapidly become one of my favorite things in the kitchen, and I might be guilty of putting it on almost everything.
It's all right. And you know what? When we come back, we are going to expand on this and start talking about variations and how to get a really amazing dinner on the table in 30 minutes or less. And we are discussing today the magic and comfort that is chicken and dumplings.
I'm in a nice little bubble of warmth and happiness. I feel like I'm 12, and it's just
This is like a rat tattooey dish.
okay.
You know, this is a down home on the farm dish.
Yeah.
This is
See, I know that you were talking about the recipe itself, but as soon as you said it, I just thought that there was a mouse in your chef's hat.
wow, he would have nothing to stand on me. That little dude would have to be ice skating. Let's just say I'm follicularly impaired.
Oh, everybody knows what you look like.
I
at
know.
this point.
I look like a bowling ball with ears, but you know. Okay, so diving back into our wonders that is the chicken and dumplings. The simple recipe we're discussing right now is just literally swing by the store, pick you up a couple of cans of whatever brand cream of chicken soup. We're going to mix it up. We're going to get those 2 cans mixed in with 2.5 cans of water. We're going to warm them up. Get a nice consistency out of it, and it's going to have that kind of yellow porridge look, kind of like, you know, certain Goldilocks would have eaten the bears threw her out.
Yeah.
We're going to add, just for fun, just because we want a little more texture to this, add a chopped up chicken breast or chicken thigh, whatever. And as Brandon said, you know, if you swung by the store, go ahead and pick up something that's boneless. Save yourself some time and make it easy, but make sure you got a little skin on it.
Yeah. You got to have that fat or else you lose the flavor.
Yep, fat is where the flavor's at.
Yep.
That's kind of a big secret there, folks. Okay, now, believe it or not, diced up chicken takes seconds to cook in a pot of warm soup.
Right.
So by the time we get done with this, you don't have to worry about anything being raw. And I will tell you, go ahead and keep a nice rag and maybe a little spray bottle wherever you cut up stuff. Immediately when you get done, clean it.
Right. The last thing you want is anything, you know, just gestating in the goo.
Right. You know, especially these days, as doing the dishes in my house has become almost a compulsion.
Right.
It's like leave nothing in the sink, keep everything clean, because you never know what somebody might have brought home with them from, you know, work or the store or whatever.
Right.
So you want to keep your workstation good and clean. You diced up chicken, you want to make sure you clean that up.
Cross-contamination is bad across the board.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the seasoning. And this can go 1,000 different directions. It could be something as simple as a dash of salt, a little bit of pepper, if your family likes pepper. Yeah. I know people that don't like pepper.
Well, you know, you do work with the elderly.
I do.
Yeah.
Besides me.
Well, I mean, they're elderly to me. They're junior to you.
No, some of them. Like Claire was mentioning, she loves a little paprika. That is a really good, safe spice to play with.
Right.
If you like a little Cajun seasoning or if you like a little hot sauce.
Yeah.
Now, here's the secret, and I know you've all heard this 1,000 times. You can always add it later. You can't take it out.
Right.
So season judiciously.
Yeah.
Now, once you've kind of got your soup the way you want it,
right,
it's nice and warm, the chicken's been added, you put a little bit of seasoning to it. Me personally, I'm a little fond of a couple of dashes of ground up thyme, a sprinkle of parsley, parsley flakes. I like parsley flakes. They just bring out a nice texture to it.
Give it a good little color to it.
It does. It breaks up that kind of porridge look and gives you a little visual interest. For those of you that are really daring, we will talk more about French tarragon and other seasonings like that coming up. But a little tap of French tarragon never hurt any type of poultry.
True.
It is a great additive, but it's an interesting flavor, so make sure you like it before you use it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the big thing that kills everybody is I ain't making dumplings. I am not rolling out flour and having to go through all this. All right, guys, the cheapy, generic little can of biscuits at this point is your best friend.
And what we're talking about is that can that you usually pass over when you're looking for canned biscuits for, Sunday breakfast. The one where you go, that's not going to be right. That's the one you want.
That's the one you want. It comes in a 6-pack. It comes in, it's not the major name brand version.
Typically, it's kind of got a little bit of orange to the package, and you look on it, and it looks like there is a slightly brown hockey puck on the package.
Yeah. Not a lot of graphics wasted on this product.
Yeah.
It's going to be very inexpensive. Get you a can of that. And the quickest, easiest, and this is kind of like how it's you made it at the house quick. Yeah. Most people just take the biscuit, cut it into 4 pieces, get your soup nice and hot. You should see some bubbles.
Yeah.
And put them in 1 biscuit at a time. And this is where the kids can be involved, because this is where you're going to sell the food, because this suddenly becomes a science experiment.
Oh, yeah.
Because when that little ball of dough hits that nice, warm, hot soup, it begins to grow. It is going to bubble on up, and you just keep cutting biscuit, and y'all add them to till it's reached the amount of dumpling that you want.
When we were little, me and my sisters actually used to fight over if somebody didn't get to help put in. And I don't know how my mom put up with us. That's just the pure love of being a mom. So we could be bad. But yeah, it's fun to watch. I mean, even to this day when I make them, and I do take the time, I do the thing from scratch. No shade, no shame on anybody who doesn't, but it's just the way I like to do it, because it reminds me of a simpler time in my life. And I will sit there and watch them, and I just watch them plump up.
It's fun.
It's fun.
It's just plain fun.
Or maybe I'm boring. I don't know. It's just I love it. I love watching it.
It's that
dumplings of almost any kind are so satisfying.
Yes.
And the big thing is, you remember that old commercial? We had the words, and I helped.
Right.
You got to if you got to throw dough in and watch it expand up like a balloon. And of course, by now the seasonings are working, and now you're getting that little whiff of fresh bread. All right, guys.
Nothing better.
This is selling the dinner, because right now it's no longer looking like goop in a pot. It is now looking like food. You got little green speckles in it. It's got a nice aroma to it. And, you got a science experiment. How can you go wrong? Now, you need to let them whenever you think they're done, you need to then count about another 30 seconds and turn off the heat.
Right.
And just let the bubbles cool down. Now, guys, this is going to be thick. So you don't want to do not turn this into a volcano.
No.
Do not put this up on high. A nice medium heat is all you need. And now you have bowls, hand out beverages. We're in the South, so of course we're going to say sweet tea, but or whatever your favorite beverage is for dinner.
I recommend with something as thick as dumplings to have something that's got a little bit of bubble to it.
A nice soda helps.
I'm a big fan of Sprite when it comes to thicker soups.
So start dishing it out, and here's the great thing: you can have a variety of other seasonings available. So if you've got the one member of the family that's a total ranch fan, they have ranch seasoning. Mm-hmm. If you've got the total I love hot food fan, well, they've already got their hot sauce.
Yeah,
they're ready to go.
They will pull it out from wherever they hide it.
They're ready to go. So and now everybody can now very quickly, very easily customize their own dinner.
Mm-hmm.
You did not spend all day cooking.
Nope.
This whole thing knocked down in about 30 minutes, maybe 45 if you got distracted. Of quick, easy, tasty, simple. You got the kids fed. You got them involved. That's the other thing. You got them involved in it. I hope
that's how you keep them cooking. Look at me.
Oh yeah, that's. I love giving. And you got to have some common sense. Don't give the 3-year-old a butcher knife. But, the 3-year-old...
not unless you also give them a GoPro.
So, but letting the kids toss the dough into that nice and watching it pump up and I cannot get over the entertainment value of that.
It just, it doesn't.
And now you got everybody fed pretty quick. And I pretty much promise you're not going to have leftovers. And the worst case scenario, if you need to cook another batch, you've already done it once. You're ready to go. You can have an entire second dinner. You can go completely Hobbit on this and have dinner the second in 30 to 40 minutes. Right. Yeah, that ain't bad, y'all.
Not at all.
You can always throw in a side of biscuits with that came out of the oven the traditional way. All right. Well, let's focus on chicken soup for just a minute because, well, chicken soup is where this all began. So what we did was added to it. So, Brandon, do you have a favorite style of chicken soup? Or?
Oh, well, I mean, again, there's so many variations on chicken soup itself. Mm-hmm. Personally, I prefer homemade. I'm a Southern boy. Mm-hmm. I'll hit the condensed cans if I need to, but if I like the extra wide Amish egg noodles.
Ooh, nice.
I will search them out. You can typically find them in your big box stores, but go to the little mom and pop grocery stores in your area. You'll find them.
Or an international market.
Well, the international market was my next suggestion because they have everything. You just have to know where to look. Which I think we're going to have to do a tour of that on the air. Yeah, we're just going to have to do something.
All right. I'm going to do a teaser for Claire. We will be having a segment coming up very, very soon called "It Came from the International Market."
Yes.
So we are going to be introducing you to things you do not normally find at the corner grocery.
No.
Expand my horizons.
Things that aren't at your local Kroger. But I just the basic, I prefer diced chicken thigh in my soup, while I like a mixture of white and dark meat when it comes to my dumplings.
Okay.
But honestly, if it's just hot and seasoned and the perfect cold day, it doesn't matter. I will eat any chicken soup you've got.
Okay. Well, there we go. Well, let's start with chicken. Let's start with chicken broth.
Chicken broth.
I'm
a Swanson's guy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the easiest way to make chicken broth at home
is to boil a chicken.
Yes, boil a chicken. That is correct. Now I'm going to give you guys a secret. We're gonna get into this recipe at a later time, but a great way of getting a fabulous chicken broth is when you've got a sporting event coming up, and you need to do wings.
Yes.
Well, everybody, when they're frying the wings, the average person at home does not have a commercial deep fat pressurized cooker.
Why
or
not?
You do.
I have access to one. It's not at my home.
The average person does not have access to this, right. And therefore cooking wings is actually a little difficult. This is where the air fryer kicks in and does a better job than actually frying them, because a lot of times the outside looks fabulous and the inside's still a little chickeny.
Oh yeah.
I will throw in a secret, and I know there will be purists out there everywhere that are going to scream when I say this, but go ahead and pre-cook. You can even pre-boil your wings.
It's true.
And get them nice and cooked all the way through. Don't cook them to death. Don't boil them for like an hour, but get them cooked all the way through. Take your wings up. You now have a pot of amazing chicken broth to start with, and you can now set your wings to the side. You can even refrigerate them or freeze them for use later down the road. And now you have a chicken wing that when the outside looks perfectly good, the inside will look perfectly good.
Which is hard to do.
Just saying.
It just is.
Okay, back to just making the soup. Okay, your simple ingredients are usually celery.
Right.
Onion.
I can deal with that.
A lot of people like a little carrot.
Little
carrot.
Little
like a little carrot in there. Little garlic. Little ground up garlic.
What's this little stuff?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm actually going to go out on a limb here and say that garlic is wholly unnecessary to a lot of chicken and dumplings, purely because just kind of the sodium level of the chicken and dumplings, at least in my experience, kind of drowns it out or makes it redundant in a way.
It depends on how much you like garlic, and that's why I say everybody has their own version of this. Some people like fresh pressed garlic. Some people like a little garlic salt. Some people like a little ground garlic.
In the motley crew that is my genetic makeup, there's enough Italian in there that I kind of require it.
And we're not talking about. He's not talking about a single little clove of garlic. He's looking for the head. They're
clove is and should be a bulb.
Yeah. So.
That's the only proper way to apply garlic.
Okay. So you got your veggies going, and again, you can be imaginative. Some people like mushrooms. Some people like other vegetables floating around in there. I've even seen a nice chicken and dumplings with little diced up bits of potato floating around in it. Yep. Nice. It's be imaginative. I mean, you're not limited.
Yeah. If your dumplings start to look more like a stew, it doesn't matter as long as you like it.
That's correct. Alrighty. Now you want to get your chicken ready. And again, all right, guys, here's kind of your flip side of this. The breast meat is going to be quantity versus quality.
Right.
If you're talking thighs and legs as your source meat, you're going to be getting the dark meat.
Yeah.
Heavier, thicker, but it's a little more flavorful. The breast meat, more quantity to it.
Right.
It's a lighter flavor.
Depending on the number of attendees, to one of my things when we're doing chicken and dumplings, it's 3 thighs to every breast ratio when I do the mix.
Okay.
So, and usually that alone, that'll take care of everybody. If we've got a big crew, we start to double up.
Okay. Well, AKA pretty much any part of the chicken will work because it's chicken.
It's all chicken.
Yeah, so whatever you like, that's how we're going to go. Now, once you've got this all kind of cooked together, you're going to notice it's really, really brothy.
Yes.
So now what do you do? Well, I'm going to look at Brandon and go, what do you like to do?
Honestly, I don't, because I follow my mother's old recipe. I've never had it where it's too brothy.
Mm-hmm.
But I typically, if I get something that's just a little too brothy, I hit it with the flour.
Describe what you're talking about.
Okay, when I say hit it with the flour, that means you take a small handful of flour and you just pop it right on the top. Kind of let it
dust it.
Kind of let it soak. What I do is a little more than a dusting, but yes, you want to dust it.
You don't want to make a big handful of dough.
No.
You're sprinkling it. You're dusting it across the surface and stirring it in.
It's we learned I learned this really though while making chili, because if the chili's too watery, you have to add the mesa so that you can get the thickness back in.
Right.
And I have found that it works really good with soups. It
does.
But just a little bit. If you put too much, you end up with this flavorless nastiness on top that you then have to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to sprinkle it in. Another one that you can get away with is you're going to add, if you want the creamy, like we did the very creamy today.
Yeah.
Of course, milk.
Milk
will help give you a creamier approach
to
your soup.
I think that was what we always used to do when we'd make
All right.
from scratch. I'm
going to throw in a side twist. Because you've had this can sitting in your pantry for probably 8 years. The can of evaporated milk.
Right.
Because that stuff is nice and sweet and thick. And will help give you a nice creamy effect.
And even if it's 50 years old and has been in there for that long.
If you inherit it from your grandparents.
It's still
chances
okay.
are it's still pretty good. So here we go. So, and doing it from scratch is a little more involved.
Right.
It's going to take a little more time. You're going to have to invest in this a little bit.
But I'll be honest, if you stick to it and you time it out just right, hour and a half, hour 45 minutes tops.
That's true.
It's still a much quicker way of doing it than many other things you could be feeding your family.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Very true. So, I mean, we're not
from scratch dishes. It's best when you have at least one other person in there helping you with the operation.
Yes.
Well, and again, this is where getting the kids involved, doing the prep, dicing vegetables and everything. And, I've discovered I've never had a problem with a finicky eater in my family.
Well, no.
Because A, if they get hungry enough,
they'll eat anything.
They'll eat pretty, life gets agreeable. But B, if you had a hand in doing it,
yeah, you want...
there is a certain level of pride.
You feel that you have You've earned a seat at the table, even if you didn't want a seat at the table to begin with.
Either
Correct.
pride or spite.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely spite. It's like, well, you know what? I worked. I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah, and it's the I did this.
No, not so good. Darn it! I cooked you. I'm gonna eat you.
Yeah, well, I've actually turned finickies into that person at the table. Did you try the peas? Have you tried the peas? Have you tried the peas? Mr. Brandon, have you tried the peas? Well, guess who sat and cooked the peas? So, you've got a youngster at the table actually pushing part of the dinner because
Vegetables, no less.
I cooked that. I was involved. I put the bacon.
I always thought that I could. I always thought I could be that guy who's like, could withstand anything until I became an uncle. So if one of my nieces or nephews actually goes, Uncle Brandon, yeah, I'm gonna eat it. I don't care what it looks like, how it smells. Once the kids, going, you should try this. I made it. It's like, yeah, okay. I don't know what a unicorn cupcake is, and I don't know why it has cornflakes on it, but I'll eat it.
Yeah, you're gonna.
It's still alive, so I guess they're pretty good at it so far.
Yeah. So far, you've made it this far. Okay. Well, we've kind of got our soup handled.
Right.
And again, guys, I know there's 1,000 variations at this point. But it's time to move over to dumplings.
Yeah.
Three major styles of dumplings. You got your drop dumplings,
Which
you got your rolled dumplings,
which are just as amazing but thinner.
and then you got your variations and biscuits.
Right.
One of the variations I've seen was corn tortilla strips.
Yes.
Not corn. Sorry, the wheat.
No.
Wheat.
Tortilla strips in and of itself, though, but they need to be, fresh, able to roll tortilla strips.
Right.
Not. Hey, I bought a bag of chips.
No. They need to be the soft. They don't need to be the we're making nachos.
Right. And what's really good in that is that's when you want to hit it with your soup with a little bit of the southwestern seasoning because it makes it just it's amazing.
Okay.
I'm going to say that word so many times it's going to become our drinking game.
It is. It will be today because we're in such a comfort food.
Right.
Okay, let's tackle drop dumplings. Drop dumplings are a lot simpler than people make them out to be.
It's true. They are. But at the same time, there's a skill to it.
Okay. We're not breaking out the rolling pins and that kind of stuff. You just need a bowl.
Right.
You're going to put your flour in. At this point, basically, you're going to have some of water, milk, probably an oil. Need a little bit of an oil here. I happen to be a fan of a tablespoon or two of olive oil.
Okay.
It's good. It's tasty. And we have so many other amazing flavors. Your dish is not going to taste like a Mediterranean salad.
Right.
And we're not putting
unless
that
you
much
like
olive
that,
oil.
at which point you can
In
do
which case, put some more.
Yeah.
The big thing is you're gonna stir this together up in a bowl. And guys, I'll put all the proportions and everything on the website when we get done. But you're gonna mix this up, and it's gonna be a gooey dough. It is not gonna be rolled out like bread.
No.
And your drop dumplings are where you're gonna get a little spoon, kind of grab a little bit on it, and you're gonna drop it in there.
Yeah. I use a small melon baller.
Mm-hmm. Oh, perfect.
Yes, you will need to clean it by hand afterwards because there will be dough in every little gear it has.
Yes.
If it's not wet, sticky, and a little shaggy, then it's not the right consistency.
Exactly.
I'm not commenting.
Having a Scooby-Doo moment.
Oh yeah.
Now, drop dumplings are going to be the fun ones for the kids.
Right.
Because you got a spoon, you can fling it in there, and these are the light, fluffy dumplings.
Also, if you want to make your life infinitely easier, Bisquick is your friend.
Oh, it is. It is.
For these, it's good.
Yeah, well, that one, pretty much everything's in there that she needed. The flour we needed was all-purpose flour, so it was close to Bisquick anyway. All right, rolled dumplings. Getting chicken and dumplings at a restaurant.
Yeah.
These are going to be thick, much denser.
Yeah.
Basically, it's rolled out bread.
It's square.
Yeah. It's how I do it. What I do is once I've got all this stuff mixed, and again, I'm not going to give you my dumpling recipe because it's my mom's. But once you've rolled it out, this is where a special tool comes in, and that is the pizza cutter.
It is.
You can make them. You shape them however you want. It doesn't matter, and but you want to make sure that you have definitely dusted your surface beforehand, because the
big
last
time.
thing you want is your dumplings stuck to whatever you have rolled them out on.
Spatula can only save you so much at that point.
Right.
Yeah. And you're scraping.
Yeah. And I've got a flat spatula that came with my rice cooker that I use to lift the dumplings, and then just kind of thump them over in there. You do about 15 of them at a time, because I do it in a giant pot. You don't need a giant pot. I just do this. And then, as they float to the surface, you start putting in more until you are done.
Yep.
And with the way I make it, I usually have to roll it back out at least twice.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. All right. Then your grand finale, the cheapy can of biscuits.
Yep.
And I cannot stress again
Pop
how
that thing open.
fast, simple, easy, and this makes those biscuits the best tasting biscuits they can be.
Yep.
It really does.
Yep. And that's the easiest part. You pop that can open, you cut those things into 4 pieces, you drop them in one at a time, you're done.
And of course, the dumplings, at least in my experience, have the added benefit of thickening your broth just a bit.
Oh yeah.
Well, you're gonna
That's what helps
just
give you
quite a
that
bit of flour, and again, that's why you needed that extra, little extra water. You don't want this too thick because
And it's also why you don't want to add too much flour on the front end.
exactly because you're gonna get some. You're gonna have a lot of bread in here.
Yeah. And then there's always the controversial crescent dough. Don't do it, guys. Just don't.
The crescent dough is a lot of fun, but I think we're gonna have to talk about the skill of that when we come back.
Right.
So there are certain things for the can of biscuits is for the person in a hurry. If you're gonna get at that crescent rolls, we're gonna have to talk. And we are having way too much fun with chicken and dumplings.
Well, there's nothing that's not fun about it except for, if a pot explodes.
I've never had that happen cooking this dish.
No, that's
again, it's a thick soup, y'all. Do not use high on that stove.
that's true.
Please.
You shouldn't be using high on your stove for much of anything. I know that there's a very American tendency to do that. It has its applications, but not forever.
It has uses, not for general cooking. Yeah, it's there for searing. It's not there for making the soup become an experiment.
And honestly, sometimes that's all you want on the meat.
Yeah.
A little bit of sear.
Well, all right. Well, we won't talk about my taste in steaks, but
It's not just you, man.
That's for another episode.
wait till we get to one of those. Wait till you see what I bring in then.
It's on a
I'm
sword.
eagerly waiting now.
I think we have Claire's attention.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's recap. Let's recap. Okay, how hard is it to create a nice batch of chicken and dumplings?
It's harder not to stub your toe on the kitchen table.
Okay, so the easiest possible recipe began with a couple of cans of condensed cream of chicken soup,
A couple things of cheapo biscuits,
a little extra chicken if you so desire,
some
spices,
a ratio of 1.25 on your water to your soup.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
a little bit of time, and believe it or not, in about 30 minutes to 40 minutes, you can knock out a full dinner, chicken and dumplings, and you don't have to tell Grandma it didn't take you all day.
Oh, she'll know. Somehow, some way, she'll know. But the kids won't.
You'd assume that Grandma wasn't making it from a can, too.
No. That's the thing.
It just didn't tell people.
Grandma just knows. You can't hide things from her.
All right. Well, Claire, the evil secret for today is the chicken and dumplings I brought in is exactly that.
Yep.
But it's just to go to show you what you can do with pre-made ingredients to save yourself some time. And it just doesn't take that much to dress it up and take it to it wasn't out of the can level.
Right.
Guys, food is always a great place to start.
Sometimes deservedly, a lot of the times not. You just got to know what to do with it.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if this is like this in other countries or not, but there's a very American thing about it's like if you bought something pre-made, people don't want to add anything to it. Feel free. Do whatever you need to make it bigger and better, which is another thing that's very American.
Well, yes, and I'm going to throw this in. You don't have to have an exhaustive spice cabinet.
No.
You don't have to have 50 different things that you can add to something.
Wait.
You don't have to, Brandon.
Oh.
All right. And
All right.
for you to be down to 50 extra ingredients, you would be deprived.
I
You would be cranky.
I'm a food mad scientist, you know. I kind of get wild there.
I have watched you cook. I have watched you cook, sir.
And you've got to admit, there have been times you're like, there's no way that's going to be, oh my God, that's good.
Oh my God, that is so tasty. Why did you put carrots in that? Oh, that's why you put carrots in that. Are those potatoes really pink? Yep. Where do you see the purple ones?
Oh, the purple ones are amazing. I'm not kidding. There's just a flavor there that just you don't get with regular
I
potatoes.
have discovered when you make mashed potatoes with the purple potatoes, you get some funny looks.
Until they taste them, at which point you get some
then
very
they're
thankful
gone.
looks.
But for a future show, I'll give you a big tease. When you look at somebody and say something like, "Well, we fried cauliflower," and they look at you in this look of abject horror, and you're going, "Yeah, you're just not there yet."
Yeah,
You actually can make cauliflower edible, apparently.
Oh no!
Was something that's
I can make cauliflower make you forget the protein. That's what people have to remember.
Cauliflower is the basis for vegan hot wings. You would never know it.
It's really, how do you play? All right, the thing in the kitchen should not be dreaded. So here we are looking at a dish that your grandma, when you walked in there and said, oh, we're having chicken and dumplings because grandma's making chicken and dumplings. There was a commercial years ago where this person was in the kitchen and she's reading the romance novel and she gets up and throws flour on her face and sprinkles water on herself and then staggers into the other room with the food.
Yeah.
And it's
their Rice Krispie treats, and they reran that commercial during the holidays this year.
So, there's a lot to this with a little bit of confidence and a little bit of practice. And this is one of these dishes, and this is a comfort dish, y'all. So if you've got a quiet afternoon and you want to just add this to the arsenal of what you can do, take the extra couple of hours and very slowly go through it, step by step, and work it out a little bit, because you've now got the first time over with. And you know what? If it goes horribly south, there are no witnesses.
True.
You don't, guys, just because it turned, if it just, something went wrong, you shouldn't have added that.
It's because
2 pounds of papaya.
It's because you use the crescent roll dough.
Well, yeah, don't do that. You got to toast that stuff first to make it usable. Otherwise, it just becomes goo.
It settles at the bottom of the pan. It starts to bubble up while it's at the bottom of the pan, and that's what we were talking about, why you don't have high heat and you end up blowing up your chicken and dumplings.
It actually will make a volcano.
I know.
Don't do that.
I've watched it happen.
You got to cut this stuff into thin strips.
It was a sad day because I was trying to teach someone and they bought Crescent instead of the biscuits, and
biscuits a lot safer, bigger, fatter. They float, they blow up. They'll get the kids involved.
No. That's the thing. They don't blow up.
Unless you get the can that you have to whack on the side of the counter.
Well, that's a different story.
I will say this: they inflate.
There you go.
They inflate. All right. Well, guys, I hope you've had a good time with us talking about chicken and dumplings. That's Brandon Olmsted, and that's the infamous Claire, and we're going to see you next week.